I'm very often asked, when can you actually adjust your stop into profit? So what does this mean? This means that you've entered into a position and you see that it's working and it's quite nice, and you really want to remove the risk from this trade all completely, so that if the market turns very fast against you and goes into your stop, you will probably have a zero or you'll have a small profit, but you will not have your initial stop pulled. Means that you will not have a negative trade. Now, this is a very, very tricky question. And this is why I always answer it in one simple way. And this lesson is dedicated to answering this question. Now, before I show you a few examples of how to adjust the stop correctly, I would like to tell you about the negative sides of adjusting the stop. In chapter 12, you will learn about statistics and the importance, the extreme importance of statistics, and how to keep statistics and how to interpret your statistics later on, and so on and so forth. And now, adjusting your stop can hurt your statistics a lot. When you constantly adjust your stops back and forth for whatever reason, a lot of people, they enter into a position, they see a nice profit or a small profit or any profit, and they get scared and they fear that the market will turn any second and they will lose all of this profit. So they pull up the stop very, very close to their current position. And what happens in this kind of a scenario, the market can move a little bit against them and just pull the stop and right that moment keep on going into the direction that they predicted. So it can be very tricky to be adjusting the stops, but besides that, the statistics are very hard to keep correctly if you keep constantly adjusting your stops for whatever reason. I personally adjust my stops very, very seldomly, and if I do that, I do it in a super regulated way. And what means a regulated way? A regulated way means that there is a set of rules that you use for your stop adjustment, and in turn this will help you actually record each time that you've adjusted your stop into your statistics. So when you do random stop adjustments, you will not be able to record your actions into statistics in a way that you will later understand what you did on that day with that actual trade. And that can destroy your statistics altogether. Now, as a good example for correct stop adjustment, let me show you an example of a hard to see but still a good divergency. Here we have quite a side move-ish but still okay looking market. And here we can find a first nice sign of perhaps a climbing trend. So here we have a bottom MACD wave, and so here is the correlating wave in the price. And this is another bottom wave. It is a spike, but it still is a bottom wave. If you can remember, then spikes are still waves. And here, this one tiny wave is the correlating wave in the MACD to the spike in the price. It's very tiny, it's nothing as nice and visible as this one, but it still counts. This one is still a wave in MACD. Now, as you can see, then the spike goes down to pretty much the same level as the previous bottom wave in the price. However, in the MACD, we can see a very, very nice divergency. This wave right here is a lot higher than the one before, so we do have a divergency. Now, if we were to believe it, we could enter into climbing, let's say, in the beginning of this candle right here. And the entry would be around 13,185 points. Remember that we have either a fixed stop or a technical one. And in this case, we could only use a fixed one. Let me show you why. So the fixed stop would be, as you can remember, the 20 points. So it would be 165 points. This is where our fixed stop would be. Now, if we were to use a technical one, the technical one would be at this level here because this is the bottom of this spike. And it would be at 13,157, which means that extra 8 points. And it's a lot more even than the 0.2 rule for the stops, so we cannot use this. And in this kind of a situation, we are stuck to using the fixed stop. Now, as you can see that in the general picture, if we look at a general market, then we can see that there isn't very much range for the moves in general. And so we might actually be quite nervous to have this kind of a large stop. However, for the sake of the example, let's say we do enter here, and now we have to find a place where we could adjust our stop. So we can see that the market starts within the first 5 candles, as you can remember the 5 candle rule, starts moving in our favor, and we are quite happy, and it starts climbing quite rapidly. As you can see that around this position here, the last candle, we would have around 25 points in profit. So when could we adjust our stop into profit? So the into profit means that we would like to adjust, put our stop, pull it to, I don't know, perhaps this place, this position right here, which would be 1 point above our entry level. So once again, this is our entry level, which is 13,185. And perhaps this small bottom wave right here could serve us as a good place for pulling our stop to the level of 13,186, which would be 1 point above our entry level, which would be a profit zone. Now, to do that, we need to have good mathematics that we can record later into our statistics. And what I personally use is the rule of 1 to 2 stops into profit. So now, as you can see that we use the fixed stop, and our stop is 20 points, and I would never adjust my stop into profit before I have at least 20 to 40 points in profit already. So at this position right here, we have around 20 points on our side, and this would allow us to actually move the stop into profit. Not when we have 10 points, not when we have 17 points, not when we have 19.5 points, only when we have 20 points, or when we have 40 points. And this is very important. You cannot adjust your stop at 26 points, at 23 points. You have to choose one exact method. It's either 1 stop or 2 stops. So in this case, it's either 20 points into profit or 40 points into profit. And not in the middle, not above, not beyond, nothing like that. So that later into your statistics, you could, next to the entry, you could mark a certain letter or a certain abbreviation for a stop adjustment. And in this case, if we choose to use the 1 stop rule, so that we can adjust our stop into profit only when we have at least the amount of points into profit, which would be equivalent to the amount of stop. And in this case, we would just record it into our statistics with a certain abbreviation. We would know later when we look at our statistics that in this exact trade, we adjusted our stop into profit when we had at least 20 points in profit, which is equivalent to our amount of points in our stop. Now let's see what happens further. And boom. So this divergency worked quite nicely, even though the market was quite slow, but this was a first nice looking divergency, and look how it worked. We went above pretty much every maximum of this day. And now let's see where we could find the suitable condition for our 2 stop rule if we were to use one. So once again, entry at 185, 13,185 plus 40, this would be the level in the price, which happens around this last candle in the screen. And I think that you must have a question, so which one should we use, the 1 stop or 2 stop amount in profit for us to be able to adjust the stop into profit? It really depends on the market situation and on your personal preference. I personally mostly use 1 stop. 2 stops, depending on the market situation, can be too much. And if I see that the market is in general a side movish, as we have in this example, then I would most likely use a 1 stop. After reaching the 1 stop amount in profit, I would adjust my stop. If I see a really nice and trendy market with many points going back and forth, we have sometimes really nice days with really great waves of 100+ points. In this case, I would probably adjust my stop only after I have at least the profit of the amount of 2 stops. So in this kind of a situation, then 40 points. And when I see 40 points, I would adjust my stop. But then you have to remember that if the market turns very quickly and goes against you, you'll probably still leave manually when? Exactly at 50% of the total market movement from your entry, which is what? That's right, 50% spike rule. I hope you remember those rules and I hope you study them properly. So yes, this is pretty much the answering of the question of when can I adjust my stop into profit. The most important part of this rule is understanding that if you decide to adjust your stops, then you must do it in a very regulated way. You must do it either when you have a profit amount of at least 1 stop or 2 stops, or maybe you want to use 3 stops, but it has to be very regulated so that later on you can understand in your statistics what you did on what day and what it all looked like technically and mathematically. And only in this way you'll be able to later on analyze your statistics in an understandable and explainable way, which will in turn, of course, lead you to be able to improve your system in general. Good luck on your test. There is no homework, so enjoy some time off, and I'll see you in the next lesson.